Welcome to another episode of No Talking During the Movies. I am your host, Stephen Austin.
And I am the creepy neighbor that's just looking for somebody to hang out with, Tank.
And you got me to hang out with, Tank.
I like it.
Tank is a trailer-hungry boy, and I'm the one who missed them all last week. I literally was like, Tank, I don't know what we're going to talk about. Like, not much news has happened, and I haven't seen any trailers. And you were like, there have been some trailers, and you sent me like 4.
Well,
like,
to be fair, I did have to search them out.
Okay, okay.
I did have to go find them because there hasn't been surprisingly there. I mean, I feel like we had kind of like a big dump of them, and now there's kind of like a little bit of a lull.
It's
so
a
I
real,
did have to
it's a
seek
real
these
trickle out. Yeah, and I feel like most of them are very indie-esque films,
Yes.
even though there's some good names attached to a lot of them. So before we get into those, let's get into the question. So I thought of this question just because we're not too far off from Oscar season, which, by the way, like, what the hell is that show going to look like this year? Anyways, but I just thought of, like, what is a person in the filmmaking industry, like, what is a job that just doesn't get any recognition or attention at all? Because there's one that I've thought of for years, and I was like, maybe Tank has one too, so I'll make that the question. So is there any filmmaking job you think needs more recognition by the public or award ceremonies or anything like that?
You know, if this is a hard question because it's a very, you have to know a lot about the movie industry to have a good answer.
That's true.
I feel like maybe continuity directors don't get enough credit.
Sure.
Because there is, a lot of things in movies where you'll be watching it and then you'll see, just for an example that I can think of off the top of my head, in the movie Planet of the Apes with Mark Wahlberg.
Sure.
At the end, when Tim Roth's character is holding a gun, when they cut back, it's a different gun. So just little stuff like that. So again, probably nobody noticed it but me because I'm into guns.
Because
so.
I guess you're not supposed to notice that stuff because it's the continuity director's job to make it perfect.
And also, 15 years ago, the quality of film was such that you wouldn't notice it.
Sure.
But you watch a movie now, so you watch a movie from 1978 right now, you're going to notice that something that's supposed to look metal is wood painted. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because of how good our resolutions on our TVs are now.
Right.
So I think a lot of that stuff that was movie magic may be disappearing, but I think that makes it even more important for continuity to kind of weigh in.
To work and weigh in. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. And that's something that, like, you know, could be a big mistake, or in a scene with a lot of say extras, every shot looking the same is probably a big freaking deal in the filmmaking industry, because that's a lot of people you got to manage all at once, and that's all up to the director and the continuity director. So I like that answer. Mine is one that I'm still kind of shocked the Oscars don't give a award to every year, but stunt performer.
Wow, they don't, do they?
Stunt performers are literally putting their lives on the line for filmmaking and action movies and some of the most incredible things we've ever seen, and I feel like we don't ever see any recognition to stunt performers.
You know, and the thing is, here's another thing to think about. In the next 15 to 20 years, the stunt performer is going to become obsolete.
That's true, with special effects.
Practical stunts are going to go away.
Right.
So you're going to be talking just strictly green screen, and you can just have, Mark Ruffalo standing on a ledge jumping off because it's literally just him stepping 4 feet.
Off.
You know what I mean?
Totally. And that's the thing. It's like, and we've gone so long seeing some pretty incredible stunt work that just never got the recognition it deserved.
It's really wild when you think about it. Like, I never really thought of that, but yeah, I can't believe that there's not a category for that, because there are some, you think of somebody like Dar Robinson is a good example. He's a stuntman who died in the 90s, maybe the 80s. He died, I think, during one of the Lethal Weapon movies.
Oh, okay.
So he was this like world famous stunt guy, and he did all these amazing stunts. And that back then, everything was practical.
Of course.
every bit of stunt driving, stunt writing. I got a lot of respect for movies that stick with practical, especially driving stunts, because that's
Absolutely.
like Baby Driver is a great example of like somebody, whoever was in that movie, the driver should have got an Oscar, or the driving
Yeah.
team or whatever. The way that they award, I have a buddy that I went to school with since kindergarten,
Right.
uh, who is a digital artist, and he's worked on Star Wars, he's worked on The
Wow.
Mandalorian, he was on Avatar.
Damn.
So his company has Oscars. You know what I mean? Like they've won Oscars,
Sure.
and that's like that doesn't go to one guy. That goes to an entire team.
A team of
So
people.
like I'm sure that would work the same way for like the stunt team
Sure.
of
Stunt team,
you know.
stunt coordinator, stunt performer. Because I mean, and think about like, and I feel like there's an actual drive to give these people an awards, because think of all the times that we all clap our hands every time we see Tom Cruise do something dangerous, because we're like, he's really doing it, and I'm like, what are the people who are really doing it but
Every
not getting
time.
recognition?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
So
absolutely.
I feel like that is a very like touchy thing that I'm like, oh my god, Oscars need to start giving these people attention. Like I'm the guy who's like, Oscars need to be short. Like the award ceremony is 15 hours long, but I would sit an extra 4 minutes to give a stunt performer an Oscar.
I'll do you one better. I don't it's been I think that awards for art are silly. I'll say that.
Okay, so this is as a whole,
As a whole, Oscars, Emmys,
because art is
Grammys,
subjective.
art is subjective. You
Totally
know what I
makes
mean?
sense.
I bet you the last 10 Oscar movies, I probably haven't watched four of them, and
I know
some
you
of them I
haven't
probably
watched
wouldn't even.
Parasite.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna. If I'm gonna read the books that I have that I need to read, not the movie that I don't
Sure.
care about. You know what I mean? So I think that the whole thing is filleting itself. But when you talk about something like, you know, a stunt performance, something that can be generally agreed upon as, wow, that was an incredible stunt.
That is a
That
very good point.
I think that's actually more needed, if any of it's needed, than giving
Because
a
it's
movie for the best movie. Because
it's a
what
sport.
actually is the best movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
we've all decided as this artistic community that this is the best movie, but that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
I can't remember what year I did it, but it was one of the years that I was starting to really, really get into film, and I was watching the Oscars with my mom, and I just kind of said like, "Hey, whatever movie wins Best Picture, buy me that, like on DVD or whatever." And I liked all the movies in the categories, so it did like I didn't care who won, and regardless, I got it. And that was like happy for me. But I do agree with what you're saying, where it's like art is subjective, but stunt work is essentially a sport where everybody can admire what the person's doing
Right.
on the same level. There are these guys, I'm going to like now give an awkward shout out to another set of videos that I watch, but they're Corridor Digital. They do like VFX artists react, animators react, and my favorite is stunt men and stunt women react. And they're just reacting to like old school Jackie Chan videos and stuff that their guest, who's the stunt man, is on for the video, are reacting to their work. And like they're just telling these stories about like the filmmaking industry and what it does for stunt people and like how dangerous it was back then to compared to how it is now. And it's super interesting. And all I'm thinking is like, I wouldn't have even known these people's names if it wasn't for these videos. And that's kind of
Yeah.
sad. You know
It's
what I mean?
it's sad actually if you think about it, because
Yeah.
there is. I know off the top of my head two stunt people, Zoe Bell and Dar Robinson.
Right.
I know Dar Robinson because it was a big deal when he died.
And then Zoe Bell because she's so prevalent in like every Quentin Tarantino movie.
Right. But like she's amazing. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's one of those things where there was a TikTok before you became Mr. TikTok.
No, no, no.
Where stunt women were doing a fight thing.
I saw this on like every other social media platform.
It was very, very
It's
cool.
very
So
cool.
it's like one of those things where like you don't even think about it. Like you're just watching a movie, but there are performers who are doing things that are very, very dangerous. And
Right.
you watch people fall, and it's like, wow. Sorry, I got my pen.
I was gonna say you're leaning for something.
And there is no faking falling down. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Totally.
it's like professional wrestlers. People give professional wrestlers a lot of shit for being not real fighting, but honestly,
Right. It's all
that's
make believe. It's
harder.
all fake. But I'm like, I don't know. Like,
And as somebody who's been in one of those rings, they're not soft.
no.
You know what I mean? It's not like landing on a mattress. That's firm, and you jump 12 feet onto that, it's gonna hurt like a son bitch. So
And more to your point, you kind of said like it's almost more impressive to be able to fake a hit than it is to actually
absolutely.
hit somebody, because
So
these are their coworkers. They're literally like punching to not actually hurt so they can perform the next day. Um, yeah, it's crazy. It's like so. Yeah, stunt performers. That's my answer.
and it's interesting. You make a great point because we are all fascinated by the fact that Tom Cruise does a lot of his own stunts and he
Yes.
broke his leg and everybody's giving this guy standing ovations. But meanwhile, there's another guy doing that for 1/100th of the money.
One of
Then
yeah, one of
when
the
when things get too dangerous,
yeah,
they set Tom Cruise down and bring in this guy and pay him a lot less money.
one of the
So
saddest stories I heard from those videos I was talking about was that it was for the movie The Dark Phoenix. Wah, wah. And it was a fall that the stunt guy was doing, like onto a roof and off, like onto the roof, rolling on the roof, off of the roof, right? And I guess he had landed on his leg just the wrong way, and the shot wasn't good, and he hurt his leg pretty badly, and he was essentially out of a job for like 3 months. They hired somebody else to do the job. He didn't get paid. He did get, like, a compensation for hurting himself on set because that's
right.
a part of it. And then the scene didn't even make it into the movie. So it's like, even if he had done it well, or if he used his take where he like hurt his leg, it wouldn't have even mattered. And that's what like these people are hurting themselves for these films.
So are we really, really impressed that Tom Cruise learned how to fly fighter jets for the new Top Gun movie? Or are we saying that it's just a drop in the bucket compared to what other people are doing?
I'm saying it's impressive because Tom Cruise clearly could not do that, but he still takes the time to, because that's, a part of his, in his mind, that's a part of his craft where he needs to learn and do it for real. However, there are still people who do it every single day because it's what they know how to do, and we don't care about them because they're not Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? That's the
Good.
difference. And
Okay, I like it.
and that's where I'm sitting on it. But anyway, so let's get into these billions of trailers. I actually just this is a little messing up with the order, but I'm actually going to start with the one that I saw, Malcolm and Marie, with
The one I didn't see.
yeah, the one that you didn't see. You watched it before we started, and I've
Mhm.
watched all of the trailers that you've sent me. But it's called Malcolm and Marie. It's with Zendaya and John David Washington, and it it essentially looks like another Marriage Story, but I'm way more interested. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Is it because Zendaya?
No, because I like Scarlett Johansson.
Who doesn't though?
Also, Marriage Story was just memed to hell that I can't take it seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Well, with Kylo Ren walking into the room going like, "Every day I wake up and I wish you were dead," and I'm like, "Okay, calm down, Kylo."
Matt straight up sucks. Sorry. Remember Undercover Boss on SNL?
Oh,
Kylo Ren.
I
Anyway.
did love that. And his like awkward this. I just gave a thumbs up to the camera, by the way, for audio listeners.
So Malcolm and Marie looks very stylized. It's in black and white.
Black and white.
Two people I think are absolutely the biggest, brightest stars in Hollywood of the future, Zendaya and John David Washington.
Totally.
And the great thing about John David Washington is like we have our very own. This generation has their very own younger, cooler Denzel.
Denzel Washington. Thank you.
Because hard to imagine Denzel cooler, but John David Washington is a cooler Denzel Washington, 100%. Which is amazing. And hopefully in the future we get a movie with those two together. I think that would just be...
I thought you were about to say, hopefully in the future, John David Washington has a son.
Dude, can
and
you
that becomes
imagine?
the
Could you
cooler John David
imagine?
Washington.
Could you imagine John David Washington in a remake of Training Day?
Oh my God, that would be
How
so
sick would
appropriate.
that be?
Oh my God, but would Denzel have a cameo in the movie?
No, because Denzel's dead.
You'd you'd say Denzel's dead in at that point?
Well, yeah, because he's dead.
What do you mean?
He died in Training Day.
You said a remake, not a sequel.
Okay,
I
okay.
thought I'm literally like my heart sank for a moment. I'm like, when did Denzel Washington
my
die?
bad. No, yeah,
We
yeah.
talked
of
about
course.
a trailer with him in it last week.
Yeah, of course. Who would play the Jake character in that? That's gotta be you gotta have somebody cool for that. They'd probably do some Timothy Chalamet bullshit, but
Yeah,
I want
probably.
somebody cooler than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if he would play Jake, but
Ethan Hawke played Jake.
no, I'm saying I don't know
Oh,
if this guy would play Jake, obviously. However, I would like, now I'm just thinking I would like a movie with Winston Duke and John David Washington. What a team up!
now you're talking.
What a team up! I
Now
love
you're
those
talking.
two so much.
What? No, hold on a second.
All right,
Hold on a
here
second.
we
Hold
go.
on. I'm head spinning here.
Screw off
What
Malcolm and
if-
Marie, we'll come back to you.
What if we flipped the script and made Mark Wahlberg Denzel's character from Training Day, and John David Washington is Jake's character, the straight ahead
Oh.
guy who, and instead of in New York or LA, it's set in Boston.
I kind of like that. Though now you just made me go back to my original thing where now I want a Departed, but it would be like a race flip cast and it would be John David Washington and Winston Duke, but as the Departed.
All right, so who's Leo and who's
I feel like John David Washington would make a better undercover gangster. Like he would be Wahlberg's character.
okay.
Or Damon's character. I'm sorry. Now I'm thinking of Mark Wahlberg. I always get those
Matt
two mixed.
Damon.
Matt
He
Damon.
would be
He would be Matt Damon's character, and
he'd be
Leo.
Colin.
Yes, and then Leo would be, or I'm sorry, Winston Duke would be Leo's character.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, I like it. I like it a lot. I
All
like it
right.
a lot.
And Denzel is Jack Nicholson's character.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh man, I want this to happen so badly.
Okay.
Dude, do you think they'll ever do a remake of The Departed? Probably not.
No.
It's
I
fun
look
to
at some of the
imagine.
things they remake and I can't believe they're remaking them. But
Sure.
stuff like that you don't remake.
Yeah, it's
You know what I mean?
such a perfect movie.
Well, not only that, but it's a movie that's infinitely rewatchable.
Yes.
So it's not like you're not gonna remake The Departed because people are still gonna be watching The Departed.
True. Yes.
You know what I
Alright.
mean? Like, and not to say that people aren't still watching Ghostbusters, but
There's a difference when there's like a super recognizable name and money involved.
yeah, right.
Because I was just about to use that logic against you, where you're like, people aren't gonna watch a remake of The Departed when they're already watching The Departed. And I'm like, tell that to frickin' Beauty and the Beast.
Well, but here's the thing: is that's not necessarily a remake.
That's a remake.
It is, but it isn't.
How's that not
It's
a
not-
remake?
If it would have been another cartoon, or Beauty and the Beast would have been live action in
It's
the first
the
place.
same story.
I don't know, man. I think if you change the medium, it doesn't count.
We're getting to a whole other argument, though.
Yeah, we are. So
All
let's
right,
move
all
on to
right.
the next one.
Back to the trailer. Sorry. We went on quite a tangent the moment we say John David Washington's name.
Yeah,
All right. back to John
I'm a
David.
huge fan, and I think he's a
I love him.
superstar.
And
And-
neither of us have seen Tenet yet.
No, I haven't seen 10. I don't feel I'm not that interested. I don't know.
No way. Christopher
I
Nolan,
just-
John David Washington,
here's
and
the thing.
Robert Pattinson. What are you talking about? I'm super interested.
Everything outside of the Batman franchise with Christopher Nolan, it just turns me off.
So Interstellar,
Eh,
The Prestige.
I didn't see that one.
Watch The Prestige. It's good. David Bowie's in it.
Aw, R.I.P. You know, it's just his birthday on Friday.
I know, just the other day. But yeah, David Bowie's in The Prestige. He plays Tesla.
Oh no shit!
I'm not kidding you.
It's
and,
awesome.
And his assistant is Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis is amazing.
Yeah, like Prestige is great. You'd like The Prestige. It's with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. And
I get
Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson.
I get shit for this all the time
Michael
because
Caine.
I feel like Christopher Nolan movies are a little pretentious. I told somebody that one time, and they go, "Well, who's your favorite director?" And I go, "Wes Anderson." And then they exactly did what you just did. so
That's so funny.
I
Oh
get
my
it.
god.
But
Is Edgar Wright pretentious? Nah, he's fun.
I don't think so.
Nah,
I mean,
he's fun.
I feel like his movies are way too fun and way too for lack of a better word, enjoyable.
Well, I think it's just his style that's just what makes his movies his movies. You know, even in a
Mhm.
serious scene, you could like take so much from it.
Yeah.
We are not sticking to the script.
You're definitely not, and we don't have a ton of time today.
No, we don't. We don't. Okay, so Malcolm and Marie, black and white, new kind of marriage story with Zendaya and John David Washington. We both kind of agreed by the end of this trailer that it looks really interesting and really good, and I believe it's a
Sure.
Netflix movie, so that's already a boost. It's kind of funny that Netflix is doing another marriage story.
It's coming in February.
Hey, all right, sweet. I'm
So.
excited for that. All right, now to get to the trailers you sent. The first one that you sent me was Baby Splitters, which immediately I was like, what a title. But it's honestly, it looks interesting. It's an idea that I'm surprised hasn't been explored yet. You know what I mean? It's such a
Yeah.
it's,
It really is. I actually had this idea for an app back in the day. Here we go with these wild tangents. Pairing couples that were same-sex couples that would help them make babies with each other. So, you take two same-sex couples, two females, two males,
sure.
and each one would procreate with the one of the opposite sex, and then they just split the babies.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, and
I mean, right?
and it seems like this movie, it's not a same sex thing, but it is exploring the idea of like this couple wants, to the woman wants to go through the pregnancy, whereas the other couple's woman doesn't want to go through pregnancy at all, but
Right.
they both couples want a baby, and
But one wants the baby all the time, and one wants just to have a baby. You know what I mean? Like
right.
if it's a perfect pairing, it's a perfect fit. But as you know, when things like that happen, there's always going to be complications.
First off, is it Daniel Putty? I always say
I believe it's Danny.
Danny Putty. Danny Putty. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Putty.
From Community, which by
from
the way you turned me
Community.
on to, and I absolutely love it. Donald Glover is a goddamn national treasure.
Yes. How far into it are you?
Season 2, episode.
You watched
13.
Paintball.
I did watch Paintball. It was amazing.
That
It
is
was
what
amazing
made the Marvel
episode.
Cinematic Universe what it is today.
It was one of the best done episodes of TV that I've ever seen.
And then the
for
Chicken
TV.
Tenders. The Chicken Tenders,
Oh.
the Mafia episode.
Oh yeah, great, absolutely perfect.
Welcome to the fandom. Welcome
I
to
love it.
Community.
I love it. I can't believe there was a whole decade of NBC sitcoms that I absolutely love right now that I completely missed out on in real time.
Yeah.
But this movie stars Abed from
Yes.
Community, and
My
other
man.
people. I honestly don't know who these other people are, and I don't know if that makes me a bad person or not.
No, I didn't recognize any of them.
Yeah. So but it turns out like the in vitro is too expensive, so they have to go the old-fashioned way.
Right.
So his best friend has to sleep with his wife, and obviously that's a and it just shows all the complications that come with that situation. Looks interesting. I'm definitely in.
It's
Definitely gonna check it out.
It's very different. Our next trailer is The Sunlit Night, which this is a prime example of what seems to be a very artsy film, but by the end of it, once I saw like Zach Galifianakis's character, all I thought was this looks like a Zach Braff movie.
Oh, okay. I you know what when I first watched the trailer, I got serious Walter Mitty vibes, but
see, like I'm getting like Garden State and Wish I Was Here, and like I really like those movies. So as I was watching it, and it's Jenny Slate is the main character, right?
Jenny Slate is absolutely delightful. I can't think of another word to describe her than delightful.
And it's so funny because like my first like real like seeing her or anything was in Parks and Rec, and all I'm thinking is like, this girl
The worst.
is the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, she's awful. My knee, please. And I'm just like, oh my God, I hate her. And then I would see her in other things, and I'm like, well, that was quite enjoyable. I think I like Jenny Slate.
She's just super funny.
Yeah.
And just like super likable. And this movie is basically she's an artist who's struggling. She just breaks up with her boyfriend, her parents. You know, the classic tome of trope where movies pick up right where your life is falling apart.
Yeah,
and
and
then
like literally, it seems like everything's going wrong for her at once.
so she goes to Norway to go work with this artist, but it's not to do anything creative. It's just to paint a barn, literally paint a barn.
Entirely yellow.
And from the trailer, it looks funny. It looks interesting. It looks like you might learn a little something about Norway because that place looks beautiful.
Oh yes.
I'm in on this one too.
Yeah, me too. The next one is Our Friend, which I was tearing up by the end of the trailer.
Dude, in the trailer, it got me.
Trailer, and it's like, I know the plot of this movie, and I'm still gonna love and hate it. This is not crap. What's his name? Jason no,
not Jason
Sudeikis.
Sudeikis. It's
Jason
the other from How I Met Your Mother.
From How I Met Your Mother. Crap. What is his name?
Casey Affleck's in it.
Affleck.
Dakota Johnson's in it.
Dakota Johnson. What is Jason's?
And Jason Segel.
Segel. That's right.
Jason Segel is.
Sorry, I was watching this trailer while I was at work, and of course the trailer opens with Casey Affleck on the toilet, like bare ass, and I'm like, damn it, I can't watch this like on a horror computer.
Also, I thought they canceled Casey Affleck. Did they not?
I don't know. He was kind of like, he looked like he was on that, kind of like a teeter-totter thing. I don't know what happened with him. When I saw him, I was like legitimately surprised. I was like, oh, Casey Affleck's in this.
Yeah, it's been a while. And also, we haven't seen Jason Segel. We haven't seen him in a while either, I feel like. But this looks like even like kind of a different step for him. I mean, this feels a little bit more dramatic than anything I've seen him in. Basically, the story is he's best friends with this couple, and the wife gets really sick. So he decides to move in and help them out. And everything that comes along with that, it looks, oh my God, it looks so sad and so heartwarming. And it's,
the way he like works with their kids, and it's like I was smiling a lot from the trailer, but I was also like, oh, this movie's going to kill me.
Yeah, it's gonna rip your guts out.
Yeah,
sure.
it looks like it. And this is definitely one I'm excited for.
Me too.
Next is the last one, and probably the one that I think I was the most like pumped up watching. I was like, this looks awesome. It's called Run, Fight, Hide. And it's essentially the moment that, so we see them hunting. It's like a daughter and her father hunting. And that's it. She goes to school, and I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. And then it's like a school shooter situation. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And it's like, it looks really well done. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like if Judy Blume wrote Die Hard.
Yes, totally. And like, not even joking. Like,
are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Yippee-ki-yay,
totally though. Like, because I think my favorite part of the trailer is like it's her hiding, like getting away from the big group of all the students who are being held hostage and like trying to hide in all these hallways, and she's trying to get away. There's a moment where they're like shooting at her and she's using the locker as cover, which I was like, that's pretty freaking cool. And then finally, the trailer just keeps saying run, hide, run, hide, run, hide, run, hide over and over again as like her only options. And she like gets out of the school, she's about to escape, and then she turns around, and then it says fight. And it's like her going back in, and this is where the yippee-ki-yay stuff comes in, because boy, this looks so good. I'm excited for this.
It's you talk about like I don't know, like an action flick that's topical. Like, you know, this is a touchy topic.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to do this very, very carefully. because of the
Right.
subject matter. But you also take what is going to be, I think, one of the great heroines in
Yes.
cinema, because she is a genuine badass and it doesn't feel forced.
No.
It feels supernatural. And then at the end of the trailer, she's giving this speech to the main guy,
Yeah, over like
and
the live stream.
over the live stream, and she goes, "All your hard work, all you did, and they're not gonna remember me, or they're not gonna remember
For
you."
you.
And he goes, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "Yeah, they're gonna remember me." And I mean, that's just like, dude, I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh!"
it's
I like
it looks
again,
so good.
it gets me really pumped. And then,
Yes.
Thomas Jane is her dad, so old school Punisher is your dad.
Yes.
You got some skills, and he's out there taking pot shots with a sniper
That
rifle.
was the other thing when it shows like him looking at the news feed and he's like, "Oh, my kid's high school is, this is a situation." It looks like he like goes out to like be like an overhead sniper and I'm like, "That's really
I,
freaking sweet."
this is I of all the movies, like we got some great movies this week. This is the
Totally.
one that I am like the most pumped to
I
see.
specifically wanted this one to be the last one that we talked about because
Yeah.
by the end of it, I was like, "Oh, that one looked great. That one looked super great. Oh, that one's gonna break my heart. Oh my god!"
Right, exactly. It's gonna be a lot. I think it's gonna be, and hopefully, like I said, with this subject matter, this is a heavy subject.
Yes, absolutely.
So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how they talk around that. But I'm really stoked to see what happens, and I love
Absolutely.
nothing more than when the good guy, because I love Batman, but I like Punisher more because I don't like Punisher more. I agree with the Punisher more.
Well, yeah, it's something that you've mentioned. I think every time that we either bring up Batman or Punisher, I think you always say that like perfect line, which is like, the Punisher only fights his villains once.
Right, exactly
And I'm
right,
like,
exactly right. So
it's effective.
this is like one of those things where I think no matter what happens, I think it's going to be something we should all be talking about.
Yeah,
And I don't know. It's weird. I think that the pandemic has been both good and bad for movies. I think it's been bad
interesting.
for theaters, obviously,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
maybe for movies in general, we're watching movies we wouldn't have necessarily watched in mass before, and we're
Sure.
taking interest in movies that we never would have maybe cared about before because we had all these blockbusters to worry
Right.
about.
And
But
then
now,
I was gonna say, and then there's that also topic that I think you might have brought up last week or 2 weeks ago, whereas like the writer's strike
mhm,
back in the day, we got a ton of great stuff when they came back because
right,
they were so creative and everything was great. COVID kept these writers busy and creative. So I'm
yeah.
thinking, we're probably going to get a lot of interesting stuff very quickly. You know
Well,
what I
yeah,
mean?
and it's just going to take some time to get it churned out because
Sure.
there's so much stuff that goes into making these. But there's you saw it the other day with Disney, the dump that they had of like, oh my God, all of this
Everything.
stuff is coming.
Yeah,
So I
totally.
think you're going to start seeing that across the board.
All right. What do you say we get into some news?
I love it.
All right, so our first news story is that Disney has officially confirmed that for their Moon Knight TV series on Disney Plus, Oscar Isaac will be playing Moon Knight. I really like Oscar Isaac, so I'm happy to see him inching his way into the MCU. I don't know if you know too much about Moon Knight, but I hear he's a very like satirical anti-hero esque. He's kind of like I think I heard somebody compare him as like a mix of Batman and Deadpool. I'm like, that's kind of interesting, and I'm sure they're gonna have fun with the series. It's one of the many that they're working on. Are you excited for this series?
I don't know much about it, and I haven't seen anything yet about it that to make me excited. Other than I'm just excited for more superhero stuff.
Right.
Superhero stuff. I'm not always gonna give it a shot until it proves me wrong.
True, and I think I'm mostly excited because it's just more MCU content,
Hmm.
and we're about to actually get our first look at Phase 4 in a week, and that's super exciting with WandaVision, which that's one of our other stories today is that WandaVision, they announced that on the 15th, they're not releasing the first episode, they're releasing the first 2 episodes. So, plenty of content. And that'll be pretty exciting. I'm super excited for this show. Are you?
Well, that makes 50% of the show that's excited for this show.
Are you not excited?
I gotta be 100% honest with you. It's like they took the people that I give the least shit about from the Avengers and made a show about it.
Even though Scarlet Witch is like, oh my god, I love her. I love her
Do you?
so much. I love Scarlet Witch, especially because in Endgame she essentially proves that she's like the strongest Avenger. But
Yeah,
they
she
just
didn't
haven't
do
done it.
anything in the whole movie.
Well, in Endgame, she almost kills Thanos, and then Thanos is like, "Well, better kill all of my guys to like keep me safe." She almost like I fully believe if he didn't do the whole stupid like rain fire, she would have killed him.
Well, if she would have stayed with what's his face in the beginning in the surgery room,
No, I
maybe.
completely agree about that. But movie's got a movie. Thanos got a snap.
And it's not even about that because all the characters do stupid things that lead
Right.
to, and also that's where our plot's going anyway. So you have to do
Right.
that, but that's not the point. I don't know. I just don't find her enjoyable as an actress or as a
Elizabeth
character.
Olsen? You don't like Elizabeth Olsen?
Not in other stuff, just in this movie.
Oh, okay. Well, here.
First of all, like, where'd your Russian accent go? Number one.
Well, so I think they focus test that, and after they released Avengers 2, everybody was like, that accent kind of sucks. So they, like, very slowly phased it out. Like, she's got a little bit of it in Civil War, and then I think by Infinity War, it's just gone.
And it's also, like, you're so powerful, but, like, you don't do anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they don't use her in a lot, but we're going to see a lot of her in this next phase because we got WandaVision, and she's going to be heavily involved with the Doctor Strange movie because everybody's assuming that WandaVision is her kind of like effing up the universe, and Doctor Strange has to come in and like help her fix it. You know what I mean?
Well, I will say the show does have me interested in what it's going to be.
Well,
so I'm definitely going to watch it because
it looks super charming.
Yeah. Not only that, but like, okay, so what's this about? It looks, anything that has kind of like that, like when they're doing parodies of 70s sitcoms and 60s sitcoms. I'm interested. So I'll definitely check it out, but it's not like I'm not super excited about it because Vision is also one of those. Vision is the fucking. Oops, sorry, my bad. Vision is the fish sticks of the Marvel universe. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think we're going to love these characters so much more after the show because it'll be dedicated to them. And honestly, they released a clip, I'm assuming from the first episode the other day, and it's literally both of them in like a 1950s era, like black and white sitcom, beds separated, like in their bedroom, and there's like a noise outside. And she is worried, so she's like turning on the lamp with her powers to like wake up Vision. And he finally wakes up. He's like, "There's nothing out there, Wanda." And he's like looking outside. He's like, "Nothing to be afraid of." And then like a big noise happens, and he like gets in the bed all scared, like he's like a little child. And there's a laugh track, and I'm like, this looks like a classic like sitcom, and they're gonna play with that, leading into some dark undertones about like what the hell happened to make this what's happening.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see how we get there.
Also, I love the movie Pleasantville, so I'm really gonna like this, I'm sure. Which, speaking of which, we did talk.
That's the one where Reese Witherspoon was going around handing out handies in the 50s.
All right. Yes, and everything got a lot more colorful. But I lost my train of thought. Oh. We kind of discussed that as much as we'd love to do our Wes Anderson rewatch, which we have talked about, I think we're going to put that to the side because WandaVision's coming out next week. And I think we're going to do the same review process that we did of Mandalorian with WandaVision, especially because you and me are such MCU guys.
And it'll be, I think it deserves to be able to be dissected and explored.
Yes, I think so too. And I'm sure we're probably going to end up doing the same thing with like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and, all these things that you and me are very much invested in at this point.
Well, and especially since Disney insists on releasing one at a time. I wish they wouldn't do that.
You don't like that?
No, I do, but I don't. I like being able to watch everything in 2 days and just get it over with. But
I get it.
I also respect the game of like, okay, we'll feed it to you one at a time so that you have something to watch.
I
You know what I mean?
think for the analyst process, I think it's better having it one at a time.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I enjoyed about our rewatch, or not rewatch, but our watching of season 2 of Mandalorian is like
Right.
every episode felt like a big like. When I watched the new episode of Mandalorian, I was excited because in a couple hours I get to come into work and just chat about it with Tank and like all the stuff that we noticed and loved, and
Mhm.
we're gonna get to do that again with WandaVision, and that's super exciting. But so that's our plan for the big like rewatch or whatever, or recap. That'll be next week, and I guess we'll do the first 2 episodes next week. So that'll be fun. So I wanted to bring this up because I thought this was interesting. Zack Snyder is getting another zombie movie. If you remember, he did the remake of Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah.
where he had that great Richard Cheese song in a montage. Do you remember that? He
I
did
do,
Down
yeah.
with the Sickness.
Come on and get down with the sickness.
Yeah. So that was did you like that movie? Did you like that remake?
I mean, I'm not a big zombie movie guy.
No?
I mean,
Okay, so
not really.
I am, and I liked it when I first saw it, but after like years later, I didn't like it as much. But this sounds a little bit more interesting. The film is called Army of the Dead, and he describes it as an action-packed movie, heist movie, but with zombies. So
Wait, are
like,
the zombies pulling off the heist?
no, it's survivors pulling off the heist, but they have to deal with zombies, and that seems interesting to me because it's a completely different idea in mixing these two worlds. He calls it a genre on genre film.
I kind of like that idea. I mean,
do too.
it makes it sound interesting for sure.
Right, and that seems super exciting. And just to give another notch under their belt, it is a Netflix movie, and I'm like, all right.
They're running the world.
Yeah, girls. Sorry. But so I'm super excited for that and interested in that. I'm excited to see another zombie movie from Zack Snyder, and that genre on genre thing sounds really, really cool. Our last news story is back to the superhero realm, but this time with DC. And I'm super happy to hear this because it just means like they're being more giving with creative licenses. But the Suicide Squad by James Gunn, which is coming out later this year, is now confirmed to be rated R.
It's awesome.
Which, he mentioned when the cast came out, like, I think his caption with, like, the cast list was like, don't get too attached. So now I'm just thinking, we're going to see a lot of these people die in horrible, gruesome ways, a la Deadpool 2, and I am excited.
Yeah, no, it's and like it looks fun. It looks like a fun movie.
Yes.
That doesn't take itself as seriously as the first one did.
And that's the thing. That's what I like about it. It seems like we're gonna get a more appropriate Suicide Squad that we were always meant to see. Like it's very comic booky and colorful. We got a big cast that list won't mean anything, but a lot of interesting people on the cast list, and new characters, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
Whereas the last movie just kind of felt like, people wanted it, so we'll give it to them and put some Queen in the trailer, and hopefully they'll like that.
The last movie stylistically looked great. The aesthetic was awesome. The characters were pretty good. It's just that the plot sucked.
Yes.
General Flag or Captain Flag, whatever his name was.
I think it's Captain.
The guy with the accent was garbage. Yes. The Killer Croc makeup was terrible.
Yeah, I was not happy about Killer Croc.
But everything else was enjoyable except for the actual movie. I obviously Harley Quinn was a home run.
Sure.
Will Smith as Deadshot was amazing.
So good.
Who else was it? I loved Ja Courtney. Is that his name?
Jai Courtney, I think.
As Boomerang. He was awesome.
Boomerang.
There were some great things about it. Unfortunately, there was just much more nonsense. The sky beams. The story was stupid. some of the characters felt unnecessary.
Sure.
You know, so if they could fix that, like looking, this would make a terrific TV show where you could deploy different Suicide Squatters from different areas to take on different, so you wouldn't have to have the same cast all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure, that sounds really great. And they're doing that Peacekeeper, the John Cena
yeah,
show,
right,
so that
exactly.
I guess we're gonna get a little taste of that idea, except it's
Mm.
gonna be all about one character. But at least we'll get to see a Suicide Squad character in multiple situations, which will be fun. Um, and I think the problem with the last Suicide Squad, going back to Killer Croc, is I always like to imagine Killer Croc as what I've seen more of him as, which is a big, like, hulking beast who's like mostly crocodile, but in the shape of a man. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I really liked that. But then when they showed like the makeup and, he's like pretty much a normal sized dude, except just a little bit buffer, I'm like, that's not really what I wanted. And then in this movie, we get the King Shark or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
he looks exactly like what I wanted from Killer Croc. So it's almost like they're apologizing and going, here's the more cartoony fun stuff that I think you all wanted.
King Shark from the Flash TV series is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I don't even remember Shark from the Flash TV series.
Oh God, it's so terrible.
Mm.
But yeah, so I'm excited about this. This will be fun, and rated R makes it good.
Absolutely, because I feel like that's what it needs. And Zack Snyder, after all the love for his Justice League director's cut or whatever, or the Zack Snyder cut, after that worked, he started his own campaign of like, all right, well now let's see the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
Oh,
And I think David Ayer said he would like to do it, but he doesn't think it's ever going to happen. And I'm like, I don't think so either.
I mean, now that we got all these streaming services, you gotta have something to fill them.
That is true. Maybe HBO will be like, the Zack Snyder cut did so well for us. I guess we'll give Suicide Squad a chance. Who knows?
Might as well.
All right, so that's gonna do it for the news, and so next week this space would be filled by us talking about WandaVision. So that's gonna be super exciting. But to end the episode, I think we should give some recommendations, Tank. And your recommendation is Community.
It is not, because we've already done that, but I do love that show a lot.
I'm so happy you love it.
I am going to recommend the Guy Ritchie movie, The Gentleman, from just a couple of years ago.
Oh my God! Yeah. Wait. Please don't tell me that was a couple of years ago. That came out last year, didn't it?
2018.
No way.
Yeah. So this movie is, I mean, chocked full of stars, literally. You've got Charlie Hunnam, Colin Farrell. You've got the main guy, Matthew McConaughey. And then just a bunch of the guy that picked up the prostitute from Notting Hill. Oh my God, what's his name? With the Prime Minister?
From Love
Actually.
Oh my God.
Hugh Grant.
Aha!
So, Hugh Grant in a way you've never seen him before, and then the supporting cast is also great British actors, being great British actors. You gotta love a good British gangster flick.
Sure.
Guy Ritchie does it better than anybody else does it. This has a really, really good story that they tell backwards, and there's lots of twists and turns and funny stuff. Matthew McConaughey is awesome.
I was going to say, how perfect of a pairing is a Guy Ritchie film and Matthew McConaughey?
So perfect.
It's literally like a match made in heaven.
And I saw it once, loved it, and I forgot about it, but it's been kind of running on cable.
Oh, okay.
So I've sat down and I've watched it a couple of times, just from different points in the movie, and I recommend it. It's a lot of fun, a good British gangster flick. Guy Ritchie tells a story in really interesting ways, and kind of invented the quick cut and the British geezer double cross, as I like to call it. So it's a great flick to check out.
That's a great recommendation, and I cannot believe that movie came out in
I
2018
know, hard to believe, right?
because it felt like it came out like a couple months ago.
As shit as 2020 was, it went really
See,
fast.
that was a question I was asking people because I was like, did 2020 go by quick for you or slow for you? Because I feel like it was both. And I think somebody said it more perfectly. Josh, somebody we work with, was like, oh, yeah, the days were long, but the weeks were short. I'm like,
Hmm. No, that's
that was
that's how I felt.
2020. Yeah. My recommendation, I've been doing a lot of Star Wars recently, so I'm gonna try to pull away from that. Oh wait, I'm not because I've been rewatching all the movies, and I rewatched The Last Jedi the other day,
Ooh,
the one that either everybody loves or hates.
hated it.
You hated it. I rewatched it, and I think the final episode of Mandalorian season 2 fixed a lot of The Last Jedi for me.
Really?
Yes, and it's a thing I've been seeing online that I totally agree with, and it's the idea that Luke Skywalker is a freaking legend and a living god essentially by Mandalorian season 2 finale, right?
Hmm.
Like he is unstoppable. He is the guy who defeated the Empire, Darth Vader, the Emperor single-handedly went up to the Death Star and won the show. So, if he's at such a high place and rebuilding the Jedi falls so low, everything like fails, he's gonna feel like it's. I think the best term is a real fall from grace. He has gone from a living legend to a failure, and he does exactly what Yoda does, and he goes into hiding and realizes Jedi's been around too long. It's got to end. And that movie, its entirety is people going, we need you to come back and fight for the resistance. And he goes, do you really think I'm just going to stand out in front of the entire resistance with a laser sword and win? That's what he says. And that's what they are looking for in the legend of Luke Skywalker. So what does he do at the end of Last Jedi? He realizes that the legend is what gives people hope. The legend is what sparks the rebellion. So he does the one thing he can. He knows he can't actually go out in front of 15 AT-ATs and take all the blasts and survive. So he does that like force projection thing, has a cleaner cut beard, shorter hair, much better like Luke Skywalker-esque outfit. He's using his classic lightsaber and he is fighting one-on-one Kylo Ren, and literally to them that is the real Luke Skywalker who just took all these blasts from the AT-AT, the living legend, and he just wipes his shoulder. He brings back the living legend, and by the end of the movie with those like kids telling the story and the kid with the broom or whatever, and he like uses the force to get the broom, before they show that part of the scene, it's them telling the story of the legendary Luke Skywalker who just took down all the AT-ATs, and it sparks hope in the rebellion. And so I like this is a long explanation for the recommendation, sorry. But I'm sorry, I like The Last Jedi a lot more now because it really shows the path that Luke went from complete fall from grace to realizing that the legend of Luke Skywalker is what keeps people fighting in the universe, and he realizes that by the end. Sorry, long explanation.
No, I like your explanation. Doesn't make me like the movie any better because I think it's stupid. But
I will say that casino scene is still to this day the thing I'd be like, Rian Johnson, cut out that, and you got a 30-minute less movie, and it's a lot better.
I also didn't like the unceremonious way that Phantasm just went down. That was whack.
Well, that's a problem with like the entire, well, not the entirety, but the first two movies. They literally went, hey, here's our new Boba Fett.
Yeah,
Somebody who looks cool but doesn't do jack.
It kind of annoyed me, but I like the idea of what you're saying. It's just, you know what it is for me?
Oh no.
When they finally, at the end of Return of the Jedi,
yes,
episode 6,
yes,
looks like everything's gonna be all right.
yes.
and then they spend 3 more movies telling us how it's not all right,
Right.
and how everybody we grew up loving turned out to be exactly who they were before they were heroes.
Well, I think the other thing is the entirety of Star Wars is supposed to tell this prophecy of like the one to bring balance to the Force, except the
Mm.
problem is there could never be balance, apparently. And that's the thing that I hate. For a time, there is balance, and then Luke Skywalker decides, well, I'm going to rebuild the Jedi, which immediately is like, that's not balance, then, is it? You know,
Mm.
him being the last Jedi is one thing, but him starting a whole other thing, then of course you're going to get Sith involved. You're going to get the dark side involved. And that what has Snoke and Kylo and um so that's I think the overall problem with the sequels is that they kind of go behind the like prophecy doesn't matter anymore, where I think the and that's the end of Rise of Skywalker is Rey defeating the Sith once and for all and becoming only the Jedi left. She's essentially in the same spot that Luke was at the end of Return of the Jedi, and I don't like that because then it's just one Jedi on top, and I'm like, that's not balance. That's not how balance works. But that's all other nerd stuff. I'm very nerdy. I'm very
we had
nerdy about
we
Star
had we
Wars.
had noticed.
No, I'm sorry. This is. Oof. I recommend The Last Jedi. Rewatch it. You might like it more like I did.
What a terrible recommendation.
I'm sorry. And we'll just sit like that, and that's what fades out the episode. No, I'm kidding. Thank you all so much for watching. You can watch us on YouTube at No Talking During the Movies, and check us out on Instagram where we post not too frequently, but when we do, it's normally about the episode that we're going to talk about, and occasionally our recommendations. And we're No Talking During the Movies on Instagram as well. But that will do it for today. How you feeling, Tank?
Feeling good. I feel like I learned some stuff.
About The Last Jedi?
No, about you as a terrible movie watcher.
All right,
No.
well, once again, I am your host, Steven Austin.
And I am just a guy with a computer. Tank.
All right, we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.